I'm Alexis.
And I'm Tiffany, and we're the hosts of Legit KidLit, a video series where we get to see into the secret and silly lives of authors and illustrators.
We love to celebrate and promote books, but most of all, we want to say hey to all you readers out there trying to find that right book for you. We hope that you can find some new reads after today.
Today's incredible guest pitched his idea for his debut middle grade fantasy novel on Twitter to amplify marginalized voices that have been historically underrepresented in publishing. Not only a talented writer, but also generous and kind, he's gotten quite popular on Twitter for his book giveaways and free book Fridays. So follow him on Twitter. Let's welcome author BB Alston to Legit KidLit.
How you guys doing? It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome, baby! Before we get into the magical world of Amari and the Knight Brothers, we'd like to learn a little more about you. So, as a kid, who was your biggest inspiration for wanting to become a writer?
So I was a huge Roald Dahl fan as a kid. I love books like James and the Giant Peach and Matilda. But by far my most favorite book as a kid, it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That was just my absolute favorite. I just think that's such a great age. I think that's probably the first age. Right around that age is when you start to kind of think independently of your parents and you start to form your own ideas. Like, of course you're still affected by your parents' beliefs, but you kind of start to decide what you accept and what you don't accept. And so I thought that worked really well with the idea of the world being more to the world than you can see. Because you're starting to kind of reevaluate what you think about the world anyway. And so I thought that was just a perfect age range. And plus you get to be silly when you're in that range. And I always like to be silly, so that's always cool.
Do you think you have any silly or interesting writing quirks?
So one thing about me is I have to be in complete silence to write. I have writing friends that like listen to music, or maybe they'll go sit in like a busy coffee shop, and that's how they kind of find their vibe. But me, I have to be in like total silence, and that's pretty weird, I think. I guess I get distracted really easily.
You started writing in middle school. So cool. So do you have any cringeworthy or funny middle school moments you can share? Because we need to hear them.
So my friends and I were like huge wrestling fans in middle school, and so we would kind of like act out our own little like World Wrestling Federation type of thing where we would like play fight, like just kind of fake hit each other and pretend like it was like the biggest hit ever, and then kind of fake body slam each other and stuff. And so one day we decided we were going to have like a Royal Rumble, and that's kind of when everybody fights at once in the middle of the ring. And so somehow word got around school about that, and so like half the school showed up to be in this Royal Rumble, and so we're just out there play fighting and not thinking anything of it. And then the poor administrators, I can only imagine what they thought when they come outside and see like half the school in a brawl, or what looked like a brawl anyway. And so they broke it up, and we got in so much trouble. But the only thing that kind of saved us was that we were kind of known as good kids, and everybody kind of knew it was play fighting once they got to the bottom and kind of talked to everybody. So that was probably my most embarrassing moment, trying to explain to my mom why I was in the principal's office for fake fighting.
I can just imagine as a teacher like looking out and seeing like a brawl going down and just freaking out. So I also loved wrestling growing up. Who were some of your favorite wrestlers?
I was a huge Bret the Hitman Hart fan, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker. Later on, probably Stone Cold and The Rock, but when I was younger, definitely Bret the Hitman Hart was my favorite.
I didn't always watch wrestling, but I had the cards. Like my brothers and I would share and like trade cards with each other. I don't know. So aside from wrestling, of course, do you have any hidden talents?
So I really racked my brain for hidden talents, and I just don't think I'm that talented. I mean, aside from like playing video games, maybe I'm not sure how great of a talent that is, but it was a lot of fun.
I think it's a talent. What video game are you playing right now?
I'm a big Call of Duty fan. I tried to do Fortnite, but I'm really bad at it. I really want to get into that new game, Among Us. That seems like a lot of fun to play with other people.
So we heard you really like sweets, and if you could only eat one sweet for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
So I'm like the biggest red velvet cake fan of all time. I will drive to the end of the earth to get some red velvet cake. I've driven to different states to get red velvet cake. It's really probably pretty bad at this point. But if I hear that some place has great red velvet cake, there's no distance I won't go to try it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the crazy journey that you've had since you started writing Amari, and then all the exciting events that occurred after that?
So the funny thing about Amari is that she was kind of destined for a flash drive in my trunk, and was going to stay there probably to the end of time. But then I kind of had my sights set on med school, and so I didn't have enough money to move, so I had to take a seasonal job, and they didn't have my paperwork ready. And so I'm just sitting there waiting, and I'm kind of flipping through Twitter, and that's when I see a Twitter pitch contest where you just kind of tell them what your story's about, and hopefully somebody will care enough to kind of give you a shot. And that's how I met my agent, Gemma, my literary agent. And from there we got a book deal, which ended up 25 countries worldwide book deals. And that kind of turned into a movie deal right after that, where Don Cheadle's producing from The Avengers, Marseille Martin from the show Blackish and the movie Little. She's set to star in the movie. And so it's been a really crazy ride. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a movie myself, so I'm very, very grateful for everything that's happened.
It's so cool, and then I've actually heard you tell your story a few times in a few different interviews, and every time I hear it, I get chills. I'm like, what an incredible journey, and you and Amari deserve everything and more. So I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. Sometimes I think about, how many times I went back and forth about whether to send that tweet or not. I was thinking like, nobody's going to see this, nobody's going to care. And then, that kind of changed everything for me. So just kind of crazy how life can work sometimes.
Do you have the tweet like framed somewhere or something? I feel like that's like a little piece of history that you need to share. How cool.
I don't have it framed, but now that you said that, it probably would be a good idea to kind of do that. So maybe that's something I was looking at doing right after this. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't think you want to lose that. Okay, so there's a movie in the works, but what's next for Amari? Are there any more books? How many more books should we expect? Or what other news you got for us? We want more Amari.
So right now there are 2 more books in the series, and that's kind of what's on the plate right now. I'm kind of writing Amari like right as we speak. So hopefully the wait won't be too much longer. I would say like Black Girl Magic and Supernatural Fun.
It's been 24 hours since my life changed forever. How is this, any of this, real?
Amari Peters.
If Amari was listening to music in her room right now, what would she be listening to?
So Amari would probably listen to whatever her brother Quentin was listening to, because he was such a big influence on her. And so it'd probably be somebody like Drake, and he has such a wide range of songs. But a lot of kids are really into BTS, so she'd probably be listening to some of that too. K-pop is really popular, and so I'm sure she'd be a fan of that as well.
So we have a question from one of our readers. They asked, if you could choose a supernatural ability for yourself, which would you choose?
And that is a really good question. I think it probably changes from day to day. But today I probably wish I could fly. I just think that's the coolest power. Like, just to be able to just take off and go whenever you want. You don't have to sit in traffic, stuff like that. I think that'd be really fun. I have to avoid those planes though, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. That's a really good question. It probably would be something like you're really great at jumping, and so now you can levitate or something. Probably something like that.
So mine would probably be something with books, because I can read. Well, I mean, we all can read, but what would be my supernatural? That's weird. I gotta think about that.
Maybe you can like touch a book and then you'll know everything that's in it just by touching it. That'd be something cool. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. Touch the book and then you just like immediately have all the knowledge from it. That would be really cool.
And then I could really read all the books. Finally. So there were a couple, like your elevators, that had their own character. How can you describe, like, how did you come up with how did you personify things like that? How did you create characters that aren't really alive in such a unique way?
So a lot of stuff like that just came from like, just kind of asking myself, like, what if this happened, or what if that happened, and kind of daydreaming about stuff. That's where a lot of the inspiration for that kind of stuff comes from. And then what's funny to me, and that's where a lot of the elevators came from me. Just like, what would be funny right now? Like having an elevator that's called Whispers, who shouts all the time. Just kind of putting my own sense of humor into the book and hoping other people think it's funny and cool too.
So are you one of those people that carries around like a notebook with you everywhere, or like do you put the ideas in your phone, or like what's your process with like coming up with all the ideas?
I'm like super disorganized, so it's like a combination of the notebook when I remember to keep it, and then sometimes the phone. And then what the funny part is, I'll put stuff in the phone and forget I put it there, and then I'll come back to the phone later and like, oh yeah, that was a great idea. And that's kind of how that works for me, just kind of a mishmash of both. Probably the favorite part of the book for me was the second tryout, just because you get to see so much of the bureau. And I got to kind of write myself into corners, like, and then kind of figure out how I was gonna get out of that. That was a lot of fun too. Like, I think there's one where they have to find something that's near the bottom of a bottomless pit. Like, I wrote that without having any idea how I was gonna make that work, but it just sounded like such a fun and cool idea that I went with it and eventually found a way to make it work. And that's probably the most fun part I had.
Are there any books that you would recommend for readers that loved reading Amari and are looking for their next book?
I think the Tristan Strong series by Kwame Mbalia is a really good series. Also, the Nevermore series, I think it's 3 books now, by Jessica Townsend. Those are really fun books too, really magical. I think you can't go wrong with either one of those.
Nevermore needs more attention. I think Morgan Crow is amazing. I love those books. It's a great shout out.
Yeah, we actually have the same agent, and she's amazing. Like, she's an incredible talent for sure.
So I haven't read the Nevermore series, which now I'm gonna have to because you both recommended it, but I recently just finished the 2 Tristan Strong books and loved those. So also great recommendation.
And I have not read those, so I'm gonna have to. What fictional character would Amari be friends with from another book? Sorry.
I was trying to think of a really good one. I think Charlie from the Chocolate Factory. That's my own kind of bias coming in. I think they would get along really well. They kind of come from similar backgrounds. They're not too well off, but still wanting to kind of still dream about getting out and kind of see a wider world and finding out the world's a lot more magical than they thought. I think they'd get along. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Also, Gum Baby from Tristan Strong would be really fun too.
Yes, Gum Baby was my favorite. She's so funny.
All right. Would you rather have a flying carpet or a car that can drive underwater?
See, I think there's a lot of stuff that can fly, but there's not a whole lot of stuff that a regular person can get in that goes underwater. So I would definitely take the car that goes underwater.
Would you rather be a famous singer or a famous dancer?
I think I'd be a famous singer just because a lot of times you have to know how to dance to be a singer nowadays anyway. So definitely a singer, I think.
Would you rather be friends with Thor or Spider-Man?
It'd probably be more fun to be Thor's friend, but Spider-Man was my absolute favorite superhero growing up, so I would have to choose Spider-Man.
Well, BB, we really have enjoyed our time with you today. We really appreciate taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with us about Amari and yourself. And everybody needs to go out there and get the book.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We had a blast. We love Amari and we love you and are so excited to see the rest of your journey kind of pan out. And we're going to follow it for sure. And we hope everyone else hops on Twitter and Instagram and follows BB, and make sure to subscribe so that way you never miss another episode. Thanks, BB.
Oh, absolutely. It was a real pleasure talking to you guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.